Sarah L and welcome to Boating New Zealand On Demand, where we showcase this month's magazine and look at the latest in news, reviews and what's been happening on the boating scene.
Benetau's first range up to 40 feet is now being built by Slovenian yard Seascape, which has added both an increased performance sensibility to the cruiser racer and a Kiwi connection. The yacht's structure has been engineered by Auckland firm Pure Design and Engineering, bringing their America's Cup and race boat experience to the challenge of designing a production boat which is light but also cost effective to build. Adaptable is the key word for the First 36. Out of the box, it's set up for cruising with a large cockpit with plenty of seating around a central table, plus a comfortable cruising interior. But with a few tweaks, she's ready to go for racing with a cleaner, more practical setup on deck and down below. This adaptability comes about easily through the use of modular boxes, which form the rear section of the cockpit seats when in cruising mode, then lift out so there is room aft of the primary winches for the trimmer to move around and sit on the coaming during racing. These boxes easily clip on and off, replaced by slip-on rope tail bags, and act as storage as well as seating when back in place. The main adaptation down below is the clever reconfiguration of the galley by removing a chopping board bridge that links the main worktop to the central fridge unit, turning it into an island so sails can be stowed and people can move easily down either side. Tie up at the dock at the end of the day, put the board back in and voila, you're back in off-duty mode. Up in the cockpit, drop in the boxes, put in the central table and unfold the drop leaves, chuck on the cockpit cushions and you're away relaxing, the generous beam and outward angled seating creating a roomy, entertaining space for family and guests. The First 36 has a pleasingly yacht-like cockpit. This is a boat that is meant to be sailed. The cockpit configuration has been designed with short-handed sailing in mind, as well as fully crewed racing, with everything close at hand. Other cleverly thought-out features include the sink in the head forward to starboard, tucked into the corner of the double cabin in the bow. To save space, the rectangular sink is mounted on a fold-down panel above the head itself. The whole unit is pulled down and the tap popped up for hand washing, then the whole thing vanishes away into the bulkhead. There's plenty of room for relaxing in the saloon, with a settee either side and a central table with leaves that fold down when in racing mode. On the starboard side, at the aft end of the settee, is a small dedicated nav station. The galley is compact but practical, with a 2-burner gas hob and oven and a large single sink ranged against the cabin side. There's a pair of double quarter berths aft, each of which can easily convert into a single berth with storage beside if you have fewer crew or more stuff. Overall, the interior decor is simple yet nautical, with clean white cabinetry, pale grey upholstery and a timber floor and detailing. We got a great day to go out on the First 36 and find out what she's really like to sail. We got more than 30 knots at times, but she handled it like a pro. With her twin rudders, she does exactly as she's asked, being responsive to steering adjustments without being twitchy or oversensitive. There's no sense of driving the bus here, she has a real race boat feel. The boat feels much larger than it is, with a hull length of 11 metres, her generous 3-metre beam carried well aft, and the high topsides make for a huge and roomy cockpit, generous side decks and plenty of space down below. A great combo for both racing and cruising. There's more than enough room for a family to holiday afloat comfortably with all the cruising features deployed, and the stripped out racing version makes the boat practical to use in competitive situations and a pleasure to sail. seems like Benetau's new collaboration with Seascape has hit that sweet spot between comfort and performance that the First range has been well known for.
Hi, I'm Norman Holtzhausen from Boating New Zealand, and today we are reviewing the Ray Sundancer 265. The American brand Ray has over 60 years of history, being one of the first recreational boat manufacturers to build fully fiberglass boats. They are now part of the giant Brunswick Corporation, and their achievements include being one of the first to incorporate automobile-style upholstery into their boats, using a distributor model that General Motors established, and building 28,000 boats a year by the 1980s. The advantages gained by this huge production capacity is obvious when you look at the craftsmanship that is visible in every boat. They are able to mandate the use of top quality materials and pay meticulous attention to detail, including testing, safety, and final fit and finish. The brand has been ably supported in New Zealand by Sports Marine since 1985, when the company acquired the distribution rights. Sports Marine has grown from those humble beginnings, and they now have branches in Auckland, Christchurch, and Sydney. One of the hallmarks of a successful company is not to change what is not broken, and hence Ray models tend to be evolutionary rather than revolutionary. And so it is with the Sundancer 265, the model that Sports Marine made available for us to review on a fine spring day in Auckland. After a couple of days of wind and rain that caused our initial date to be pushed out, it was a sunny and almost windless day when we headed out from the Tamaki Marine Park to have a play. The lines of the Sundancer 265 could not be mistaken for anything other than a luxury American cruiser. An airy, open cabin makes this a perfect sunny day boat, although the clears can be fitted to fully enclose the cabin as well. The plush seating, beautifully upholstered in tan-coloured vinyl that is fully weatherproof, offsets the white gel coat and teak flooring. And this is real teak, not a synthetic lookalike. A huge teak-covered boarding platform off the stern attests to this being a water lover's type of boat, and a neat inset swim system folds out to literally provide a set of stairs up from the water back into the boat. A couple of steps up to the cockpit through a closable door ensures that water does not get any further into the cockpit even when things get rough. The sun lounge has a few tricks of its own. A two-part folding teak table on a stainless pedestal is almost a work of art, and the stern settee hides a large locker. The back of the settee folds down to become a double sun lounger, ideal for those lazy summer days out on the water. Almost the entire lounge floor is a hatch that lifts up on pneumatic stays to reveal the 300 horsepower Mercruiser 6.2 litre petrol engine. Mechanics will love this boat because the engine compartment is huge with easy access to every aspect of the engine. The usual tanks and pumps are each neatly installed into their own sections on the sides of the engine bay. This boat came with just the basic specs, but there are options, and plenty of space, for the new owner to install air conditioning, cabin heating, air compressor or an inverter. Moving forward through the lounge area, you get to the helm, and the beautifully upholstered double bench seat continues the luxury theme. There is an impressive array of technology to make the skipper's job easier. Twin 9-inch Simrad Evo touchscreen displays are fully customizable with the usual chart plotter and fish finder options, and also include integrated engine displays thanks to the Mercury Vessel View Link system. Steering is power assisted, and a digital throttle and shift requires only minimal effort from the skipper. A Fusion audio system, electronic smart switching, including engine controls, trim tabs, and a bow thruster make the Sundancer 265 a breeze to drive. The entrance to the enclosed cabin in the front part of the boat is interesting. The sliding door contains a set of very robust moulded stairs, which together with the folding section of the windscreen provides access to the front deck area. What was not initially obvious when we got on board is that the interior of the boat occupies the full beam, thus there is no space to walk around the outside of the cabin. Hence this clever compromise, which provides a dry and secure way to get to the forward deck. Optional squabs can turn this front deck into a functional sun lounger area. With the door slid open, a couple of steps lead down into the cabin, and Sea Ray have managed to fit 4 berths, a galley, and a shower and toilet into that space. A double berth is tucked back under the helm position, with limited head height at the feet end, but plenty on the port side. Midships, the compact galley sits on the port side, with an oven, cooktop, and round sink with running water. On the starboard side is the combined shower and toilet unit with a hand basin and shower. The star of the show, however, is the main cabin area, with a convertible V-berth that also serves as a dinette. The walnut finish of the cabin table and the cupboards in the cabin area are offset by the white upholstery. Large windows and a hatch which acts as a sunroof provide plenty of light. The table lowers down and, with the infills provided, creates a king-size bed area which would be luxurious for overnight stays in a secluded bay somewhere. Enough of the stunning good looks, it was time to see if the performance matched the appearance. We fired up the normally aspirated 6.2 litre V8, which sounded just like a V8 should do, a satisfyingly throaty roar it started. Having said that, it was almost silent at idle, and thanks to the engine compartment soundproofing, was not overly obtrusive even when we had it at full roar later on. We used the bow thruster to effortlessly push us away from the dock, and were soon on our way up the Tamaki River to find some open water. Once we were out of the restricted area of the river, we were able to put her through her paces. She accelerates rapidly thanks to the Bravo 3 stern leg, turning that horsepower into plenty of speed. At 4,600 RPM, we were skimming along at over 30 knots, and with the engine redlining at 5,400 RPM, she should easily top 35 knots. We had 4 adults on board and about a third of a tank of fuel, so this was by no means a light load. The narrow hull with a very deep 19-degree dead rise cut through the wakes and chop with ease. We had taken off all the clears to enjoy the sunshine, and despite the open cabin, we remained perfectly sheltered from the wind. That windscreen does a good job of deflecting the air upwards, and we were high enough off the water to ensure that spray was a complete non-event. Occupants in the sun lounge at the back similarly remained protected from wind and spray and could just enjoy the ride. Once we were at our chosen spot, we paused briefly to launch the drone for the video, and the hull proved stable and comfortable at rest. The boat settles down into the water, which contributes to the stability, while the boarding platform remains high enough off the water surface to remain dry. Once the drone was in the air, we did some rapid runs and high-speed turns. They say that every hull is a compromise, and the Sundancer 265 is no exception. Despite being just over 8 meters overall length, the beam is just 2.56 meters. This makes trailering the Sundancer an option, although at around 3.2 tons dry weight, it would be a serious towing proposition. However, the relatively narrow hull, which gives it such blistering speed, comes at the expense of some lateral tenderness. This was not evident at rest when we found she settled nicely. But push the helm over while the throttle is open, and she certainly leans into the turn. This took a bit of getting used to, a bit like driving a sports car compared to a family sedan. Of course, a gentle hand at the helm could mitigate this, but in boy racer mode, she can be made to drift from side to side if that is your thing. Trim tabs are an absolute necessity on a boat like this, and judicious use of the hydraulic tabs that are installed did a good job of keeping the hull level and straight. The Sea Ray Sundancer 265 is an impressive example of all that is good about American production boat building. A stylish design, extremely well built, and everything finished off to perfection. That open cockpit style will not suit everyone, but the fully enclosing set of canvas sides and clears help cope with our often changeable weather. The performance is astonishing, and this is a boat that any owner would be proud of.
Hello everybody, it's Andrew Howard from Boating New Zealand here. Today we're out testing the Profab 1200, which is a Roger Hill designed power cat. It has twin Mercury V12 600 horsepower engines on the back, and they are a sight to behold. Walking up to the Profab 1200 asymmetric planing power cat on the marina berth, the inner Jeremy Clarkson just couldn't help but beam a naughty boy's grin when seeing the beautiful pair of Mercury V12 600 horsepower outboards sitting quietly on the stern, just waiting to be woken and set loose. The immediate thoughts of calling for flank speed set the scene for the testing session of this aluminium-built craft. Flank speed is typically reserved for situations in which a ship is in imminent danger, such as being attacked by enemy aircraft, but in this case flank speed probably just means the fish are biting up the coast. So let's go and get them. Palmerston North is typically known for its university, being the centre of agriculture and farming, and the wind farm. But having tested the Profab 1200, a Roger Hill PowerCat design, it should also be known for boat building. Profab Central Engineering is a boat building company with a growing list of exceptional custom-built boats to their name. Many of their vessels are commercial workhorses that we see all over New Zealand's waters, but there are also super yachts and recreational vessels on their resume of results. Some are infamous to many in the boating scene and others are more discreet. The Profab 1200 design will probably be one of their more discreet builds, but it will be noticed when it blasts past at over 45 knots without leaving much of a wake. This design is also available in shaft drive engine configuration. Roger Hill Yacht Design was commissioned to create the design. The power catamaran expert designed the Profab 1200 with a between hull foil to create lift and give fuel economy. However, the owners of this particular build intend to keep the boat on a custom built trailer at their property in the Bay of Islands, so this build doesn't actually have the foil. Early designs of power catamarans had a few inherent issues that made some of the early designs uncomfortable to use. During our on-the-water test of the Profab 1200, it became clear that the challenges typically found in a power catamaran have been mitigated completely. The hull performance was staggeringly good. The grip was unbelievable and a real testament to Hill's expertise. Furthering the heritage of the Verado engine family, Mercury's re-imaged outboard performance to deliver the most powerful, innovative outboard in Mercury's history. The quad-cam 7.6 litre V12 600 horsepower Verado is stunning. The transmission tested just as it promised it should. The first gear has a 2.5 to 1 ratio, providing immediate access to enormous torque and acceleration. The second gear has a ratio of 3.0 to 1, which is automatically and silently selected, helping create some serious top speeds. The gear shift is so smooth it takes a lot of concentration to know that the gear change even happened. There's no clunking involved. The steerable gear case, controlled by electric hydraulic controls, is very responsive. But the highlight of this innovation was just how much transom space it saves. It means that the engines don't need space to turn, and when it speeds below 10 knots, the gear case and propellers can move up to 45 degrees to the left or the right, which, when compared to 35 degrees for a typical outboard, the manoeuvrability is next level. These engines have an innovative exhaust bypass. This means that when at idle, the exhaust is above the waterline, but when underway, the exhaust becomes an underwater solution. The result was a quietness we were not expecting, and during the testing session, running at 30 knots, we could converse without shouting at each other. This noise level differs from our usual experience when standing next to 1200 horsepower. The control box for the engines is new and easy to use. The next generation DTS digital throttle controls, activation buttons, automatic trim controls and the screen make using the boat straightforward. The autopilot is integrated into the joystick, which has Skyhook technology. This joystick and its features were impressively simple to learn and to use. These engines have been available for about 2 years now and are often the headline act at any boat show. They are super cool and an excellent power option for the Profab 1200, which can also be configured with a pair of inboard engines. But with this setup giving over 45 knots during the testing session, it is a combination worth looking at. The displacement hulls launch out of the water like they're trying to fly to the moon. The boat moves so smoothly that we were surprised how quickly we were moving across the water with such ease. The ride was brilliantly comfortable. There was no roll or high siding when turning at speed either. We tried to make it happen, and for a vessel weighing close to 12 tonne with water and fuel on board, it was insightful just how good these asymmetric hulls are. Being 13 metres length overall with a beam of 4.69 metres, this design will fit into a standard 15 metre berth. In fast cruise mode at 5,000 RPM and 32 knots, the fuel burn was just 90 litres per hour per engine. When we reduced this speed to 25 knots, which felt relatively pedestrian during the test, the fuel burn reduced 60 litres per hour per engine. The planing speed was approximately 14 knots, and the ride felt balanced without any stern drag. The rear cockpit is spacious, teak-lined, and with huge storage areas underneath. Plenty of space for the toys and a dive bottle compressor. In the rear cockpit, there is a significant day head and shower. This is a great way to keep salt, water, sand, and dirt out of the main living areas of the boat. The transom area is so large it has its own lounger unit facing out past the engines. Walking around the boat's sides is easy, thanks to the large steps up each side, and the bow area is enormous. Certainly plenty of space to lay out and relax for a few hours. The roof area is made of composite materials rather than aluminium, and is home to the typical array of accessories like a radar unit. The roof has built-in tie-down shackles, making it an easy place to store kayaks or stand-up paddleboards. The galley is spacious, generous in bench space, and has a sizable Force 10 oven and hob unit. The refrigeration unit is comprised of a standard isotherm fridge under the galley bench, a pull-out drinks fridge under the captain's seat, and a large freezer outside in the rear cockpit. The dining table felt well proportioned, and where the saloon meets the rear cockpit, the bifolding doors and electrically operated window open up the space. When using the boat controls, housed centrally in the main saloon, it feels like you're sitting in a combing station. It's slightly elevated and with complete visibility around the entire craft. The dashboard layout was practical and very clean, using C-Zone technology. The starboard hull has a full-size queen bed in the master cabin. There is plenty of storage and hanging space in here too. The starboard hull also houses a full-size head, shower and wet room. The port hull has 2 single beds in the forward cabin. And a single-size bed in the aft starboard cabin. In summary, when testing a boat, we try to be impartial, but there was something special about this boat. The design, the performance, and the build exceeded expectations. After the on-the-water testing session, we were not ready to take leave and wondered how we could get ourselves invited back on board again.
Well, that's all from us this month. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you want to read more, pick up the magazine at your local newsagent or head to www.boatingnewzealand.co.nz to read and subscribe. See you again.